like we're in. Um, Definitely beware. I know my video's a little darker on this side. It's early in the morning. I don't have light on this side, and I did not turn it on. So what I'm doing here is but we're here. We're here for recording. We're gonna go into something. As I try to be so variational here, we talk about history. We definitely are founded on conscious growth, maintenance within the conscious growth, awareness, and what's important, of how to change and how to expand by expanding here with us, because I definitely looking and always expanding in my knowledge consciously, gnosis here, revelation here, but also looking at the reality here of what we call past, present, and future. And we unravel some things that may at one time been hidden. This isn't a long time hidden thing, it just came out. It's been something I've known about for a while, and I just looked into it really good. I watched a documentary on it, and it really led me to want to do the video on it, because what I started thinking about when we start looking at this reality that we live in, or this simulated reality lined up, is that sometimes we don't know what's authentic and not authentic, if you know what I mean. In this way, we see things in the past. We know a lot of stuff that's full. We talk here. I mean, if you're new here, we really talk. I'm just going to say it. I mean, everything's being unleashed on everybody of the reality and the things not so good for us, about us, and this reality of things are being done even by a government, right? Let's just be honest. We're seeing that the Hollywood and some of this is all connected to trafficking, and we're looking at the Epstein files, and they're pretty much telling, yeah, we did this, and we did this, and we did this, and we ate this, and we drank this, and we worship this, and it's full bore out there, and nobody's denying it anymore. The word conspiracy theory now is they're heroes. They were telling you a long time ago, but of course a bunch of dewey wops, people when they're asleep and don't wake and and there's still a bunch of them out there. Yeah. And that's the shame, but that's the reality of this reality of why there's a difference and why even everything can be used against you. But when we look at some of the history painted, whatever it is, from military to wars to rumors of wars, we're finding out even from, in every aspect, from even what happened with the Titanic to why it happened, when it happened, and why that whole thing of the people that were supposed to be there, who were not about the Federal Reserve, ended up on the boat that sunk, because the other side who wanted to go into it realized they had to go to extreme. So all this stuff is out. We know the reality with the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and all that. But how deep does this control go? And when we think something may have been authentic, and this is my question when we look at this, that we're going to deep dive today, which to me, it doesn't surprise me. It makes me go, dang. This happened when I was a little boy. Laurel Canyon, late 60s, I think as early as 65. Laurel Canyon, if you don't know, was a place here in Southern California, in a canyon, in a kind of upper mountain resort. Not so high, but a canyon area, not necessarily the mountains, where back then, very few people lived at. I mean, it was scattered amount of population here and there. And then all of a sudden, we have the descent in 65, it starts, and through 65, through that 67, all these people move in that end up being top-notch musicians from the 60s to the 70s and through the 70s, and some still alive now, that harnessed what we would call the hippie movement of the late 60s, because the hippie movement of the late 60s, the summer of love of 67, which was really all connected to we thought San Francisco, and we go to Haight-Ashbury and all that San Francisco movement, but was it founded? Was it founded really in Laurel Canyon? And that's what we're going to look at. This could be a little lengthy. I will be doing some reading and that, so let's get started. No more time to waste. I'll even pull this a little bit closer to me. Yeah, so we got some things to look at, and some things I'm not going to go totally in. As far, I may talk about it because there's more names than's being shared here because it goes very deep. I actually watched a documentary about this, and so I said the theory of Laurel Canyon. The overview is the theory of Laurel Canyon. The music scene was influenced and created by a U.S. military intelligence complex, largely popularized by David McGowan's weird scenes inside the canyon points to a high concentration of musicians with parents in the high-ranking military intelligence position, as well as proximity of secret military film studio and music studio, I believe too. They both can be used there, that were in the canyon, that people actually work there. Yeah. This is very interesting. This cyop, remember, this is way before any Instagram and any of these things that we now see prominent in the process of this, right? That with social media would be out and about. So the thing with the Laurel Canyon and John McGowan, is I believe his name, Mr. McGowan, David McGowan's book is he started investigating this. When this happened, he was a little boy. He was a boy when this happened. He was 9, 10 years old. He's a couple of years older than me. So it was after the fact he started investigating as he became a media guy, and he started investigating and putting things together, and he deep dived and wrote a book which is called The Weird Scene, that it was weird scenes inside the canyon, and he started putting everything together about Laurel Canyon and all that went there. Because when you start looking at this very small scattered area canyon, and you start looking at who was there and who all ended up being there, from all of these musicians, I mean, from the 60s period, early 70s, to actors, directors, and then the infamous end of this story ends up being not the end of the complete story, but the end of that which was happening there, that changed from the hippie movement of the Summer of Love to peace and love and to togetherness, to ending 69 and going into 70 with another character that was there, Charles Manson, who ended up doing the Tate and LaBianca murders, right? Big Charlie. So when we look at this was all there, and even in the stories we're going to get into, let's read. We can add some if we need to. I know I'm looking at time. I'm going to get me off here, which you don't see. Okay, let's do that. I don't know if I could do that. It does not work for me. Let's go back to worlds. I don't think I can control this here. No, I can't. Okay. Let me stop the share. I did something I shouldn't have did with this. Now let me see here. Let me stop the share and go back and add this again. Sorry about that. I was trying to get my picture, which you can't see, that was blocking my view. I'm just going to have to get it out completely. Get me off if I'm not on the screen. It's cool. I don't have to be. You hear my voice. So right away we see his theory, which is not a theory. It was proven. See, Laurel Canyon scene was influenced and created by the U.S. military complex, and I'm believing this is what happened. It doesn't mean every song, everything was in this category. No, there's some that are legitimate. This is all West Coast based, United States based. Some people came from other East Coast and other places, but as we look, we'll see that it definitely it reminds me a little bit. I don't know if any of you guys ever looked this up or know the story. when rap came out, like in that late 70s or 80s, it was very much like an art, a poetry within the rap to fight the powers that be, go against that which controls government, the them would be the racists, the government's power, the power that they would have over people, over the industries and all that. To a switch happens in 1990, and now we get gangster rap, where all women are hoes, right? Let's just be honest. It switched from a very, very positive fight the powers that be, unity, UNITY, and all these songs and areas that came out of the early rap too in the 90s. Everything goes into going to just a gangster rap, and then we have this whole drawn out mystery of Tupac and Biggie dying, which now more and more sounds just like everything else we're showing here is scripted shit. We don't know who died, who didn't die, and who might, I would say even now more and more with the holographic reality and AI, I would believe nothing what you hear, and 80% of what you see I wouldn't believe. I'm just being honest. And I'm going to get into what we need to be as awakened folks, why we need to. I'm going to do a video here soon. It'll be on these. I got 4 lined up, very interesting ones, why we need certain things. But it's good to have this knowledge, and especially olders. But if you're younger and you're studying this, why I brought up the rap in the 80s, this is when they changed it. But what happened with that process in the 90s was some of the guys who were there spoke of men coming in they did not know in the music industry that were very big men, knew they had power but didn't know who they were, and very, very paranoid and not trusting of them. Well, the deal that was made and offered was, if you go ahead and push this music to gangster rap, come on now, listen to what I'm saying. This is similar to me to Laurel Canyon. We're going to create all these prisons for business. Private prisons, not feds, private prisons, and then we'll arrest more people as crime goes up through gangster rap, and then we'll make the money on the prisoners. Some of the guys who were in the music, guys who were rap walked out, didn't participate, but unfortunately a bunch did. And of course we get the music industry involved in it with them who really have power on a greater thing, the control of these companies. And then of course they were in on it, like, of course, not surprised. But anyways, so McGowan's discoveries was the concentration of musicians was not normal to have all these people that end up being stars, musicians and Hollywood stars, and all concentrated to this very area that was sparse then. They all lived like in this own community in Laurel Canyon. What are the percentages? This would be organic. The more I look at it, 0.1%, 0.1. That's how small it would be. Less than 1%, very much a tenth of 1%. So look at some of this he produced. Parents in the high-ranking military intelligence position, as well as proximity of secret military film studio, like I said, that was there, which people lived there, people worked there, people had security clearance to go work there. Jim Morrison, the Doors, son of Admiral Stephen Morrison, and was a key commander of U.S. naval forces during the 1964 Gulf of Tonkin incident, which escalated the Vietnam War, which we were finding out that was a psyop. It really didn't happen. Yeah, go look at it. Frank Zappa, many of you who have been around knows that. Zappa, chemical weapons specialist who worked at Edgewood Arsenal, a top-secret family facility linked to chemical warfare research, MK Ultra, and control segments. So when you start really breaking this down, what's really mind-blowing, because, some of these people, you see Stephen Stills, Frank Zappa, all these, John Phillips, Mamas and the Papas, son of a U.S. Marine Corps, all these, Jackson Brown, Running on Empty, loved Jackson Brown, post where his father worked in OSS, precursor to the CIA. And that's just a few. If we went into this, I would look this up yourself and go in the book, because there's other names, and I may throw out some of them. My memory comes back to some of the people there. We have Joni Mitchell was there, and what's more and more the connection of this military studio there where you can make albums, and it was considered one of the best studios, that even better the than the recording studios at the music companies at Capitol Records and them that were down in L.A. That this was such a good studio. Some even claim, which I don't doubt, that this is where the moon landing was filmed. Yeah, yeah, and I'll leave it at that. Yeah. Them that are here, yeah, we there's some okey dokes we jumped. If you're new, you might go, "What do you mean?" Yeah, I make like a tomato and play catch up because you're behind. You need to catch up. Um, but the connection to this, and what drives me to question, because a lot of this music was my life. I remember myself, being, born in 62, 67, Summer of Love. I'm a freaking I'm a freaking kindergarten. My memory of getting up in the morning, eating breakfast, getting ready for school, is my mom playing her records or playing the radio, but she had a huge record thing playing the Doors, who Jim Morrison, just not Jim Morrison's. Every single member of the Doors' parents were connected to military, and all these families members are, like he said, precursor to the CIA. Yeah, yeah. Smells like a psyop. I can smell it, smell it, smell it. I mean, it's there. Do I'm saying everything that was dropped on a vinyl then was there, but I believe the apprehension to be used more and more probably was there as we went farther down into the 70s a little bit more, and then we go into the 80s and 90s, and it's full control, psyop. Music companies are totally corrupt, and the reality, they were corrupt before that, because the musicians were not making, they were making pennies on the money they made because the contracts were horrible. The Beatles contract was horrible. They had no power over their music at one time. So this was a continuous thing. So it was always that, what happened to all the blues players who really didn't move into the money, even though they're the foundation of rock and roll? This is, to be honest, right? So we see this. Activated this, let's see, what is it saying here? A military studio, Mountain Laboratory, Laurel Canyon, was home to top secret military movie production studio. Why would the military and high top secret need to make movies unless there's programming going on? Aha, the connection to the wood, which when I say wood, it's not because I love it. It's because you can feel that little tension, that's the part of it that I know is a hijack. Purpose, activated, operated to produce training films, documentaries, propaganda, and that is what I'm looking at, including footage of nuclear tests. And I'm starting to have my doubts about this nuclear stuff as being actually factual. This is something that I just kind of seen yesterday, and more just like, why has nobody ever pushed the buttons when all these we see the crazies are everywhere, and nobody's did that. Just think about that. The thing is, to not be under cognitive dissonance is meaning you don't have to take everything you believe, but you don't have to go nuts because your belief system. That's why belief systems within us need to be deprogrammed. And it doesn't mean everything you hear you believe, but you run it through the process. I've always seen, and for me, that once you start seeing something, if it's going to be revealed, it will be revealed. Like, put it in a file until you're ready to hear it or ready to process it. But anyways, connection. Lab was a hub for military intelligence personnel located in the immediate vicinity, the homes of all the Laurel Canyon, the music scene, and the pioneers of that time. The Summer of Love, the hippie movement. Key producers, Herb Cohen, Frank Zappa's manager and former Marine. Wow. Cited as one of the first to arrive in the area, McGowan noted Cohen was in the Congo during the 1961 CIA-backed co-op that killed Patrice Lumumba. Okay. Another one, the one I mentioned, Charles Manson, frequently mingled with the members of Laurel Canyon's scene, including Terry Metzler, the son of Doris Day. Hey, buddy, want to hang out? Dennis Wilson, Dennis Wilson was the Beach Boys. And in a time when intelligence agencies were reportedly exploring the use of LSD to manipulate social movements. Aha. The MK mind control. A little bit of LSD worked, but it didn't really in the long run because LSD would not totally control, because when they found out with LSD, the expansion would cause many not to trust the government, so they realized we can't totally use this in our that we can at times, but the percentage just isn't in our favor because sometimes people awaken. The last one they trust is a government, and that's actually waking up because the name itself tells you the story, which I said in a past video. Just decode the name government, and just within that, government will tell you what you really need to know of what it is. Controlled opposition theory, right? And you say, what's the controlled opposition theory? Means your opposition is controlled. This appeared to be a movement against the government with the hippie movement, right? Free love, peace, no war, make love, and all the right things of peace and not love. Going against the government and being in Vietnam, we're talking about a time of all the social justice movements at this time. We're talking about all this being connected to this. So this having controlled opposition for the mint, that's my co-op word on it, or my intelligence word on it, password, the mint. Not hard to figure out, but if you're having problems, just think about it. To do is you have to get in to control the opposition. That's why when you start looking at even recent stuff like LGBTQ, BLM, why? Because you have to control that opposition. Really, it ends up being, is it organic or is it a psyop? And that's a good discernible thing to look at it. I'm leaning more, a lot of it is psyoped. Actually created by, that's why they're the Central Intelligence Agency. They're in the center, and their intelligence isn't the intelligence for the best. It's the best to how to keep you ass programmed and propaganda your ass to keep you in the state of division within each other, because it's always divide and conquer mentality is the foundation of it, which is old. The controlled opposition. Central argument, often disputed, highly discussed, is that the scene was staged to channel the anti-war fervor of the 60s into a harmless, free love, drug-oriented culture, thereby neutralizing political dissent while providing a soundtrack for the Vietnam War generation. McGowan alleges and explains why so many icons moved to a residential area and had no pre-existing musical industry. And that's really what gets me when I really even look at this even more, is these were people who descended there that were not already in the music industry. It's like we're bringing all and the key thing when I look at this for me, and this is me just kind of putting this together. I'm gonna order this book. Is books are good to order, people. You can get them on Kindle and stuff, but always something about having the book available. And I'm going to take some of my books in the future here, very near future, maybe start after the next 4 videos, which I have lined up already, is going through some of the parts of it to really kind of get to it. Books are good, but the foundation, what I was noticing is you have everybody related. Majority come here descent are related to CIA or high-ranked military people and have no pre-existing musical anything. Think about that. They have no past. This is the beginning of their musical career with a military studio and all of them's parents. And some of them, when you go through, when I went through that, it was the mother. Some of it really got to me when I started looking at it, because I was like, man, because a lot of these songs I absolutely loved. It was part of my growing up as a young boy and then getting rock. Does that mean everything from this was not authentic? No. Not everybody. Some people pre-existed before these guys did. But this in Laurel Canyon, where we say everything was San Francisco, we've been led in the Summer of Love with San Francisco, was the Summer of Love co-opted in Laurel Canyon, then filtered to San Francisco. Because remember, at this time, people from the East Coast were all coming out west. Youngsters, 18, 19, 20, 21, college students coming out for this new culture that was being the love, peace, establishment, anti-war culture that was being established. Musician and producers, military connection, as we see. Several of them. And like I said, direct families, military, industrial complex connected. Several iconic Laurel artists. Jim Morrison, The Doors, I just read him about his father, Frank Zappa. Stephen Stills, Nash and Young, all connected. Or his father worked at the covert U.S. operation, so you're tying till Jackson Browne, born on the base. David Crosby, descended from a lineage of high-ranking military officers, including Civil War generals. So this goes in David Crosby's bloodline. He's the biggest liberal guy still going out and wanting to push a lot of agendas of the left. Is that just psyoping, or is that what he's supposed to do? I mean, which would be psyoping. John Phillips' Mamas and the Papas, the son of a career Marine Corps officer. Herb Cohen, his manager, said he was a Marine. See if any more. Yes, the military studio, Lookout Mountain Air Force Station, it's called. Right there on the street. Function, a top secret military film and audio. Like I said, it's film and audio. So they were filming and recording that produced classified films for Pentagon, recorded nuclear tests. Proximity operated simultaneously with the rise of the music scene. It was all connected, folks. That's what I see here. Many musicians lived within a mile of the facility. Current status, the facility was decommissioned in 1969, now a private residence owned by actor Jared Leto. So when it was there to do its job, and then as we go into 69 and 70 is when this ends with the frosting on their cake of the story. Charles Manson, who also was from here. Very interesting. Let's add something. Or the Eagles. The Eagles living there. The reason I'm saying this, I've been decoding, and I have at one time and did this, but more and more I've listened to that song Hotel California when I listen to the words. You know what it reminds me of? What this song is telling us something. The Hotel California. You can check out When You Can Never Leave. You're stuck. I'm trying to find a place back where I came before. I even see that part as being spiritual, but you can check out Never Leave. You're trying to kill the beast with your steely knife, but you just can't kill the beast. And then we see that what California is now politically, it's a shit show, and it's the bottom tier state, even though it's the most aesthetically beautiful with the best weather, especially in Southern California, the best weather, but it's the highest expensive, and liberalism has just killed the state, and that's a fact. Do I think liberals? I think they're both the same side of the same quarter. Both sides, they're part of the mint. But within state to state, you'll see the difference of those states that are one side, money-wise and crime-wise, compared to the states who are not. That's just a fact, too. For this is living conditions of the physical if you live there now. But as a whole, and also people being from one side or the other, there's a huge difference to me. I mean, one's a little common sense, one don't have much. And that's just in conversations I've had with people, just like, programming's been affected over there, but it's been the downfall of California, and that's why I see the Hotel California is almost like the demiurge. But you give me my answer, and I believe they are. Right here, Glen Fry. Yep. Glen Fry's Kirkwood Casino, located at the corner of Kirkwood Drive and Redpath Drive. The house serves as the band's unofficial headquarters. It was famously nicknamed Kirkwood Casino due to the high-stakes marathon poker games held there and often attended by neighbors, and there's Joni Mitchell there. And Don Henley and Glenn Fry lived there. And that's why I say, I was thinking about that when I said they were there too. The psyop and the Hotel California, when you really break down those lyrics, I'm talking occultic and see what that lyrics are saying. It's a beautiful groove in the music, but what is it saying? And that's why more and more I'm saying it's telling you the truth. It's telling you even about California now. You can check out but never leave. People who have left the state, Gavin Newsom's still trying to get taxes from them. Like, you checked out of California, but I'm going to make sure I'm going to get my taxes from you. That you're not going to leave. And even deeper, very dark, even deeper things I see in the song connected to the state. It's calling it a hotel, and I believe they are trying to push people out because it's going to be like Vegas. They want people to come visit here, but maybe not be here living for long. Meaning, we're trying to get you all up out of here by whacking this stuff out as much as we can, because the only ones who can't leave are the ones who can't afford to. Right? That would be the ones who can't leave, or are that far gone in their programming. Anyway, so we see Don Henley's living there. Rehearsals, J.D. Southern, large homes from, collaborator with them, the band. He's the one that perfected the 4-part harmonies for Witchy Woman, this J.D. Southern. Tanya, The Routine, okay, Jackson Browne, Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, and this is just touching a few. We haven't even touched the actors. Let's put this even in here. Some of the actors are there. Actors, movie producers, because they're there too. Remember, the movie producer was Sharon Tate, who was killed. Was part of the Tate LaBianca murders by the Manson family. Maybe they'll show up on this one, the actors and producers. Wow, look at this. Talks about it due to its proximity of the studio. Actors held very level security clearances and worked on classified films, including Marilyn Monroe and Gregory Peck. Both are granted special clearance to use the facilities for undisclosed projects. Undisclosed, kept secret. Walt Disney reunited to use the station animation and sound mixing capabilities for military training and propaganda. And if you don't know, because I know still a lot of younger people or people who just still don't get it, just being honest, we got a politician and a president next coming up. Walt Disney was definitely not some guy who created this Lovejoy Fest, his Laurel Canyon for children. He was definitely 33-degree Mason programming. We've seen what's happening to the Disney channels and the mentality of a lot of these children that were produced and worked there, child actors, and the result of what came out of the Disney. Yeah, he has a club. I believe the club was a 33 club, and some people looked at it. I go, God, that if you don't get that the 33 club's telling you, you really don't know how to decode, because that's one of the simple decodes. When you say in the 33, you're telling me you're a 33-degree Mason club. That's pretty elementary to see that. And there's a bunch of people who don't know this stuff, and their kids and they're running to Disneyland. I'm being honest, I don't run to Disneyland. I call it dizzy. It's a horrible place. It's done horrible things to children. This guy, Walt, was no loving spoonful, if you forgive the pun on the song and the group. Or the group in the 60s. Visited the facility during his acting years, long before his presidency. Not surprised. Jimmy Stewart, Bob Hope, their voices, narrators for the Air Force training films and newsreel, and content produced at the station. Top secret, now a private residence owned by actor Jared Leto. Rumors of everything from the moon landing to hidden laboratories for LSD. Actors and mirroring the musicians, several prominent film figures associated have been there. The Carradine family. David Carradine was inducted to the Army, established a theater company while stationed at Fort Eustis. His brother Robert Carradine, also a Laurel County resident, later starred in a major war dramas like Coming Home, and definitely Carradine would be Kung Fu too, right? Anna Gunn, the Breaking Bad star, lived in Laurel Canyon, and fellow actor Pamela Alden. And then there's the producers, right? John Phillips organized the Monterey Pop Festival. John Menschler, as we said, was the son of Doris Day. Natalie Wood, here we go, was a prominent Canyon resident before selling her estate to Mama Cass Elliott. A movie scene at symbolic handoffs from old Hollywood to counterculture. Would you like to know more about the Manson connection involving producers like? I'm going to say yes. We'll go a little bit more. Let's do this. I'm going to check where we're at in time. Okay. We will go back here, where we are in time, as we're winding down. Didn't want to go because we're approaching the 40-minute mark, a couple minutes away. Yeah, we got this, and I said yes. Did he go give me a yes? Yeah, here's more. Melcher was a prominent producer at Columbia Records, worked with stars like the Byrds, the Beach Boys. Introduction, Beach Boy Dennis Wilson introduced Manson to Melcher. Aspiring musician, became obsessed with securing a record deal through Melcher. So here we go with Manson's connection in the music industry, wanting to get in, made songs, written songs, and sings, from what I understand. But also he was an MK Ultra. From if you deep dive, you find out Manson's connection to MK Ultra he visited Manson at the Spawn Ranch. Notice it's called the Spawn Ranch. Remember what a spawn is? Yeah, think about it. They were spawning off his followers. Notice it's always in the language. This is this weird reality how everything kind of fits, but you have to decode. So you have to know some esoteric or some etymology or esoteric knowledge or occultic knowledge sometimes. But notice the spawn ranch. Spawns are those evil spawns that you spawned off from your seed, right? Like demons or something that's not usually credited with being good. But he was heavily MK Ultra. I think he was MK Ultra to end up getting all these children or young people, followers, to live in this Spawn Ranch. He had men and girls and guys, young, just sex, just party and sex and drugs. And then he did not get this record deal. Candice Bergen was Melcher's ex-girlfriend. Of course, there's another actor. Manson knew this address and visited several times. The tragedy, Melcher moved out at his mother's urging him after she sensed danger. So Doris Day, did she know it was coming because she sensed danger? Or did she, or was this wow, I never seen this in this part. That's why I want to get this book. When we know Doris Day's Melcher's mama, and she told him to move out because she sensed danger, did she knew that the home was then leased to Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate after Doris said, "Get out, sonny boy." And they're the ones. Sharon Tate was an actress, right? Roman Polanski is a producer. Persecutors argue Manson sent his family to that specific house to install fear in Melcher, even if he knew Melcher had relocated. How did she know? Well, the thing is, maybe she sensed it. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she sensed it because he didn't get the record deal that he thought he was going to get from Melcher. Am I saying it right? Melcher, yeah. Very interesting. To install fear, after that saying, maybe you'd install fear, I'm going to get you, Melcher, for screwing me, right? This is a book, Declassified Ad Films, Locations are been out, 6,500 films, propaganda, atomic depopulation. Some say, hey, the definitely was done there was definitely the, some of the stuff that was done there, like the, moon landing was filmed there. Some say that moon landing was filmed there. Atomic effects and aircraft, Operation Sandstone, training propaganda, escape evasion, and all of that. Night of the Jack, all this stuff. Says we see talent, fame, and narrative, including, of course, we said Jimmy Stewart, Bob Hope, and if you really know the cultic thing about Bob Hope, he wasn't full of hope and wasn't good. Yeah, maybe you want to deep dive, or we'll talk about that later. This is just some of it. There's a lot more people involved that were musicians that when I went through this, I was like, what? There was murders and people ended up dead that were part of the musicians that were even found dead in Laurel Canyon. There's a lot more to the story. If you want to know, kind of look into it, deep dive, there's a lot more to the story. I found actually on YouTube, it was like an hour and 20-minute. This is what really got me, was the hour and 20-minute like documentary on YouTube, which really opened up, and I said, I got to deep dive into this. I'm going to get the book, which would probably be more precise. The book is still available, and even hit the guy's website. I have to give credit to him, Mr. McGowan, for his work, and he died of cancer roughly around 13 years ago. He got sick and stuff like that, but he was being watched. He talked about him being watched, his daughters keeping his work going, and he was being watched by, he felt, the government, CIA. He started noticing he was being watched and he was being followed, and not by paranoia. He did that. He was not a drug user. He didn't have anything. He just started noticing, because he started unveiling a lot of other stuff past this, a lot of the stuff with government. It opened him up to even investigating conspiracies that he started getting the tails on and finding out truth about. Because we know this, even now, as we say, we've been told this conspiracy theories are the heroes and the truth tellers. We need another conspiracy. Why? Because we'll get truth out of it. Yeah. Yeah. So let me go ahead and stop the share. All right, I'm going to go ahead this out one more time. Let me share one more thing before I go. Let me see. Let me do this. I got to share this. D-Boy, West Coast Uncensored. All small, Cash App, Daniel Abril, the one and only. One more time, D-Boy. All lowercase, WCU, D-Boy. WCU, Torch Cash App, and Daniel Abril with a Daniel with a capital D and the Abril with a capital A. And you guys, thank you and appreciate you guys being here. I hope this is interesting to you. It is to me. It really, what I can leave you with something is how much of this that we think is entertainment and we think what we see is legitimate, and how much is psyoped and how much is even organic. I'm not saying everything wasn't, but the hippie movement appears to be totally a psyop to go hand in hand with Vietnam, what was happening at that time, to be controlled opposition. They didn't want a bunch of radicals going around after the government. We want them a peace and love opposition, because we can control that opposition. But then it ended with Manson and the onslaught of those murders of Tate. And Roman Polanski wasn't there. He was out of the country and still remains out of the country. He can't come here for his, I guess, sex with younger underage women. And that's another story in itself. But Sharon Tate, who was in a few movies, a young actress, ended up dying. And then the next night, the LaBianca family in Hawaii, they went. Definitely is interesting why they were picked out to be picked on. But anyways, it is what it is. Just some history. But you guys have a great day.